Denver. I hadn't heard that song before. I really like it. Had you heard that one, Dan? No, yeah. Sort of an obscure one. But I love it, and I love it because I think it's a reminder to us, if we have forgotten, that we are a gift to the universe, we're a gift to each other, we're a gift to life. And it's just a reminder of our holiness, this first breath of spring, this ray of sunshine, this candle in the night. That's really what we are. That's what we're called to be. So today I have sort of played on the theme of St. Patrick's Day, being a good Irish girl and a Sullivan at heart. Mom said, well, we should sing our Sullivan song. And I said, yeah, well, maybe not, maybe later. So I've kind of drawn from the tradition of the Gaelic spirituality that is grounded in the simplicity of nature. Did you love the butterfly piece? Have you noticed all of the painted ladies flying around in our area? Yeah. The simplicity of nature, the recognition that we're all blessed and we are a blessing, that idea of soul friends, Adam Kara, that whole idea of that grounded spirituality. Blessed be, that's a saying that you hear often in Gaelic tradition. When I hear that blessed be, it reminds me of my 10-year-old self in Denver, Colorado, going to Reverend Plummer's Methodist Church in downtown Denver. And it reminds me of Vacation Bible School. And one of the things that I have taken with me from my Christian upbringing, some of it didn't work real well. Some of it was harsh. Some of it was rigid. Some of it was too much in the box for me. But this I love. For some reason, I really keyed in on the blessed bees, the Beatitudes, the blessed bees. I still call them the blessed bees. The Sermon on the Mount that Jesus gave. And what's interesting about that is that is the totality of the teaching of Jesus. There's no thou shalt nots. There's no indication that anybody's a bad person or that we, can't embrace everybody. There's none of that stuff in there. The Beatitudes, the blessed bees, are all about the qualities of holiness that we're called to demonstrate in our human walk in the world. That's it. That's it. I love the blessed bees. Blessed are they. Blessed are we. So today we're going to really explore the deep potential that we all have within us to more perfectly express that energy of blessing that we are. To remember that and to know that it's important in our human walk in the world. Some traditions teach that we come in as original sin. Anybody hear that before? Yeah. I'm here to tell you, no. You can believe that if you want, if that's what you want to believe. I believe that we come in as an original blessing. Blessed are they. Blessing. We are a blessing. We don't have to earn it. We don't have to do anything but be. We are blessed. We don't become blessed. We are blessed. We are blessed, and we just need to remember that, see? Eric Butterworth, great metaphysician, says every person is an eachness in the allness of God. Every person is an eachness in the allness of God. If we really believe what we teach here, that we've all got a spark of that divine energy that God is moving through us, in us, around us, as us, then we get that we are that unique expression in our humanity of that blessed energy that the divine is, you see. We are the activity of God expressing. Now, do we always remember that? Do we always act skillfully? Oh, no. Are there some unskillful things going on in our own lives, in our families, in the world, for heaven's sakes? In the world? Yes. But I'm here to tell you, and this is the truth, it's not an easy truth to embrace, especially when we look at unskillful stuff in the world, people who have acted unskillfully. But I'm here to tell you that there is no place where the light of God is more present than where any one of us is. We've all got the same amount of divinity. Now, we don't always remember that, we don't always recognize it, and most of all, we don't always demonstrate it. And sometimes it shows up in a pretty cruel way. But the truth is, the light of God is expressing wherever we are. And if we doubt that, if we doubt our inner splendor, we're missing a big piece of the puzzle. Because we need to make sure that we do not lose sight of the uniqueness that we are. That each and every one of us is an integral part of the universe. And when we know that, the relationship that we have with ourselves and with each other, with the world, with the planet, with the things that go on this planet, changes. Because God sings its song through each and every one of us in a unique way. Nobody gets to sing the same song. We're all singing differently. And every single one of us is important. Every one of us is important. And this is the hard part to understand and to embrace, and I'm not going to talk about it, but the truth is, even the unskillful ones are important in one way or another. See, we often hear God is good. Well, that would imply that God is also bad. And I don't believe that. I believe God is, and sometimes it shows up in a very unrefined way. But for us to remember our blessed energy, to remember our divinity, allows us to carry the full expression of our beauty into the world. And whether we choose to see it or not, whether we choose to express it or not, that goodness is there. That's who we are. We are blessed, and we are a blessing in the world. And so it becomes a spiritual practice. Now this is where, when we see unskillful stuff going on in our own lives, when we're the one doing the unskillful stuff, or we see it in others, or we see it on the planet, this is where it becomes a spiritual practice to change our relationship with how we show up in the world. To change our relationship with what holds us back so we can't express our divinity. So that we're not expressing our blessedness. So that we're expressing that unskillful stuff, that hatred, that violence, that terrorism, that judgment, that anger, that fear. We've got to do a spiritual practice that helps us get in touch with those aspects of ourselves so that we can show up the way we want to show up. Because sometimes we just get unskillful, don't we? Yeah, we do. We get unskillful. We judge each other. We gossip about each other. Right? We have opinions that are not very charitable toward others. So we have to learn how to welcome our awareness of that and then look at that and say, is this how I want to show up in the world? Is this the most blessed way that I can show up? To give it up, to give up those old patterns of behavior, it's not easy to give up gossip. Have you noticed? It's not easy to give up judgment. Have you noticed? It's not easy to give up some of the things that hold us back from knowing our divinity. But when we take responsibility for looking at it, that examination of our own stuff, see where it is, don't blame anybody else, it's our stuff, right? It's our stuff. Don't excuse it. If it's hurting, if it's harmful, we can't excuse it. We just have to have the courage to embrace it and to change it. We have to understand that we are in process. We are in process of blooming into our best selves. Expanding and folding, because you see, we're already all of that anyway. We're already whole, we're already complete. We just forget. And we don't always express it. So our container has to be strong enough to withstand our tendencies to be judgmental. Our tendencies to drop into fear, to drop into anger, to drop into the violent, even if we don't act on it. Have you ever had a violent thought? Have you ever had a violent thought? Yeah. So we have to have a container that's big enough to hold all of it, to see it, to change it, take responsibility for it, take responsibility for our relationship with each other, with the planet, with the stuff that's going on out there, there's a lot of stuff to judge. There's a lot of stuff to acknowledge. There's a lot of stuff to try to understand. There's a lot of stuff to try to change, to bring our blessedness to that. But if we're not knowing our own divinity and our own wholeness, we're going to be bringing a different energy to that, see? Whether we know it or not, we're that. We are that blessedness. And we're a powerful resource in the world community. Every thought that we have, every prayer that we send out, every loving kindness that we bring forth in the world makes a difference. You know, that butterfly effect. You noticed all the beautiful painted lady butterflies flying around. I couldn't believe it. I saw painted butterflies flying all around in my neighborhood. I drove to Lakewood to take care of my great-grandson, and guess what? There were painted butterflies flying all around there too. That butterfly effect, it makes a difference. That flapping of the wings, that tenderness of the heart, that prayer, that love that we bring forth makes a difference. And you know what? Our unskillful stuff does too. Our unskillful stuff makes a difference. When we're in fear, when we're in anger, when we're in judgment, that makes a difference. So we got to make sure that we're broadcasting the highest frequency, our most positive self out there, our most powerful, blessed self. And when we do that, and we know who we are, we can say, you know what? I have a job to do here. I'm glad I came. The world would not be the same place without me. I am blessed and I am a blessing. And I am important, I am worthy, I am deserving, and I'm lovable. And I'm capable of extending those sentiments to everyone in my environment. So we have to call on our highest self, see. Remember, we're already blessed. We're already a blessing. Making course corrections, yeah? Anybody need to make amends? Those of you in 12-step know what that's all about. Make amends if you recognize that you've done something that is harmful or been out of step with someone that you love or that you don't love, really. Been unskillful. Just own it. Don't excuse it. Don't blame somebody else for it. Just make an in-course correction. You know, we never would have reached the moon if we wouldn't have been making in-course corrections the whole time. Just kind of come back to center, come back to center, come back to center. The invitation today is just be blessed. Be a blessing. And be glad you came. Some days, we might have the idea that we're not glad we came. Life gets hard. Life gets heavy. Life gets difficult. We think we've lived too long. Mom always says, I just lived too long, especially when we look at the news. But I'm here to invite you to know that your life is important, who you are, how you are, what you think, what you do, how you treat each other is important. Giving your gift back to life is part of your divinity. That's your job. Your job is to be this energy of God expressing in your unique way, whatever that looks like. Back to the lyrics of John Denver. Never forget the gift that you are, because that's the truth of your being. Thank you for listening.